Welcome to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. On today's show, did LeBron James deserve to be ejected after his outburst against the Heat? Plus reaction to the Giants' shocking decision to bench Eli Manning. And who will be the final four teams standing in the college football playoff? Skip, Shannon, let's get to it. The Cavs won their 9th straight last night, and LeBron scored 21 points. But the big story happened late in the third quarter. LeBron was driving to the rim and thought he got fouled. He ran over to the ref, yelled at him, and was ejected from the game after getting one technical. It was the first time LeBron has been ejected from a game in his 15-year career. After the game, he reacted to the ejection. Let's take a listen.
I got fouled and showed my frustration to the ref, and he sent me to the locker room. That particular play, I got fouled all the way up the court, from the time that I stripped him all the way till I got to the rim. And, so that's what it was about. I think I'm one of the league leaders in points in the paint. I drive just as much as anybody. And if at this point, if you're not it's like almost they trying to turn me into a jump shooter, I can't be a jump shooter. I'm not a jump shooter. I watch games every single night, and I see jump shooters going to the line multiple double-digit times every night. And I'm not a jump shooter, and I get fouled just like everybody else do. So, it's one time going to the line one time and, 3 times and 4 times. That's not what it's about.
Referee Kane Fitzgerald explained his decision to eject LeBron, saying it was a culmination of a couple different acts. Immediately after the no call, he turned and threw an air punch directly at me, and then he aggressively charged at me, and then he used vulgarity in my ear a few times. Those air punches are scary.
Ooh, right, air punch.
He charged aggressively.
We're joined by NBA champ Stephen Jackson. Zach, did LeBron deserve to be ejected?
Not at all. I think the referees always overreact. I mean, I could see if it was a situation where it was the fourth quarter, it was a tight game, and LeBron showed him up.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You made a bad call, you blew the game, and cursed him out. That wasn't even a situation. They were up 23 at the time.
Right.
He did get fouled.
Correct.
But referees do have a tendency of when teams are blowing other teams out, they tend to overlook calls. But he didn't deserve to get thrown out, especially after one tech.
And by the way, you never got thrown out, right?
Too many times. I think I got LeBron beat by in double digits.
You didn't wait till year 14.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Early. And that's my point. LeBron plays to a standard. So he's going to play the same way whether he's up 25 or down 25. Right. A foul is a foul. Nowhere in the bylaws of basketball does it say at a certain height and a certain weight, you don't get foul calls. If somebody chops you across the arm, if somebody hits you in the shoulder or make body contact with you, you call the foul.
Right.
The score of the game shouldn't dictate that. They did not come. I can assure you, nobody paid like $2,500, $3,000 for those courtside seats to see some Kane Fitzgerald. If I see Kane Fitzgerald, it's going to be trouble.
Oh,
trouble, really? Yes.
He's about 130 years old.
Good, that's exactly. Throat punch coming, Kane. Because I'm telling you what's going to happen. You know he's going to write a book. Skip, you know he's going to write a book.
He just went down in history.
Yes.
The first ref to throw LeBron
The first and only.
And probably he'll go down as the only ref ever to
He will.
And because they've asked LeBron several times why he doesn't get thrown out, he says, I'm more valuable to my team on the court than off the court. So he's very knowledgeable not to put himself in a situation where he can get thrown out. But Skip, he was fouled. And all he said, the air punch, I was bleeping foul, man. I was bleeping foul, you know it.
And he was 30 feet away,
Yeah.
right? 40 feet away when he threw the alleged air punch.
Right? Once LeBron walked up on him, hit it with that quick throw, bop.
So only 2 players going into last night had longer streaks of not getting thrown out than LeBron James. Tony Parker, Pau Gasol. One speaks French, one speaks Spanish. So they could probably get away with speaking
other languages. For the longest.
For the longest.
Yes.
I know Tony Parker has.
I know. Couldn't understand him, right? Stephen Jackson, I want to talk protocol, unwritten rules, how the game within the game is played, because you would get into it with referees. And you were extremely emotional, and sometimes your emotions spilled over and got the best of you.
Right.
But there's a way to do this and a way not to do this. So LeBron walks up on him, and he spills on him. Okay, and it is profane according to the referee. I'm sure it was. Did he say the magic word? Yeah, he probably did. Has he said it before to other referees? I promise you he has. But the right way to handle this, he is the face of the league. He's never been thrown out before, so he's not a problem for referees on a nightly basis, right?
Right.
So should the referee have turned away from, like give him a tech, and then say that's enough and just say, let's disengage here, right?
Well, that's normally how it's handled, especially with guys like LeBron. I can see it being handled differently with guys like me who,
I got Boogie Cousins.
We go straight in. You know, I can see them one tech thrown out.
After a while, you had a reputation.
Right.
And so it might be a little quicker second whistle, but you need a second whistle. And to the point here, the ref, what's his name? Kane Fitzgerald. I got to remember him now forever.
We got to get it locked in there for Jeopardy one day.
But the point is that he said, by his own admission, he didn't even blow the second whistle. Right. He just tossed him off one tech.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay. Shouldn't he have, like if you pull LeBron away, let Dwayne went over and was going to try to pull him away, but before Dwayne could even pull, he's gone.
Right.
So you need to let him be pulled away. Right. Then if LeBron wants to break away from Dwayne and go back for seconds, then maybe you run it.
But we all know LeBron's not doing that. That's why I say some of the referees, sometimes they get too sensitive.
Right.
You know, I think he felt like he got showed up by LeBron, but it wasn't worth throwing him out, especially after one take. LeBron's the type of guy, he's so professional. You give him that one take, he's going to say what he's got to say and go on about his business, because just like you said, he's more valuable on the court. So I think the referee, he definitely overreacted.
So Kane Fitzgerald, this is his 9th year in the NBA.
You said his name too, Skip.
Kane Fitzgerald. Kane Fitzgerald.
It's kind of catchy. It's kind of catchy.
His moment.
Yeah. So he's 9th year in, but he's only 36 years old because he was like a boy wonder referee. He didn't play basketball. He started reffing when he was 18 in serious, like high-level basketball. Then he started in D1 schools and lower conferences. Then he was in the WNBA. He was in the D-League. But he's been 9 years in NBA ref, so I guess he gets graded pretty well. But he handled this terribly, and he's a contemporary of LeBron's.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's much older than LeBron, and he took an old-school approach to this. Actually, the old-school approach would have been a better approach because somebody would have handled it a little cleaner than this was.
Yes.
I know a lot of the Sean Rice and the Derek Stafford that ref the games, and if you watch them, they give a guy a tech, they walk away because they know once you tee the guy up, the guy's already ticked off. Now, if you stare there and try to get into a staring contest with him, well, what do you expect? But normally the referees, the Bill Kennedy, the Leon Woods, the Malloys, when they give a guy a tech and the guy continually talk and try to walk towards them, they'll always put their hands up and they'll say, okay, that's enough. Diffuse the situation, go on about your business. I'm not going to take the tech back. Only one time we saw Boogie Cousins get thrown out, then they rescinded the tech, he came back and shot the free throw and they win the game. But Skip, come on now.
A lot of times when they throw guys out, though, it's a lot that's been going on before that.
Yes.
You know, they arguing about a previous call that happened in the first quarter, or something was said to the ref where he felt disrespected. So it's always something that happened before they throw him out.
The ref said that nothing else was.
So he full of. I told you he full of. Yep. You know what? But here's the thing though. He's driving at a higher clip than he has at any point in time in the previous 5 years, but he's shooting an all-time low free throw attempts. He's second in points in paint behind Giannis Antetokounmpo.
He's barely over 5 attempts a game.
Yeah, and you got jump shooters like Bradley Beal shooting more free throws. Kevin Love shooting more free throws. I'm like, hold on, wait, Andrew Wiggins, really?
Right.
And they're shooting more free throws. And here's a guy that drives the ball to the paint 10.8 times a game, and he shot 6 times last night. One free throw, Skip, for real.
I've always defended LeBron on this. He's a victim of the new Shaq syndrome. He's now become Shaquille O'Neal. The refs look at him, you're so big, you're so strong, you're so powerful, you're so quick. You should be able to score it.
But
you take the body foul and score.
But let me ask you this, Skip. You say LeBron should drive the ball all the time.
I do.
Well, if he's not getting the call, what good is it for him to drive?
Well, he should get the call.
But
he would get the call at the end of games if he would drive it.
Oh, so now they're judging. So, see, that's the problem I got. I want you to see if you're doing your job the correct way, if you ref to a standard, end of game, beginning of the game, middle of the game, shouldn't matter.
Right.
You call what you see. And that's not what we're seeing. But that's all right, Bron. What happened was, Skip, what really happened is that Savannah called her. She wanted Chinese. She wanted General Joe's chicken. She wanted shrimp fried rice. She wanted moo gao pan. And Bron had to get it there in a hurry. So he said, okay, I'm gone.
So he whispered to Kane Fitzgerald, toss me. Toss me.
Mofo.
Yeah. Magic word.
So he went and then he came back.
Bron, you should have hit him with that. And see if he dubbed him up with that.
He walked off too calm.
Yeah,
he walked off too calm.
He should have doubled
He should have earned it after that.
Yeah, he should have earned it after that.
You know why your theory is a bunch of baloney?
What?
Because LeBron was in the game at 93-70 Cleveland because he was trying to fill this, which is called the stat sheet. He's trying to stuff it with a triple-double. There's no way he wanted early Chinese food. He wanted to dine on what was left of your team.
Skip.
He did.
If LeBron really wanted to, LeBron could have a triple dub at the beginning of the third quarter. He don't play like that. He ain't trying to do that. Skip.
Yeah, I think he really could too if he wanted to.
If he wanted to.
I think he averaged.
Who leads the league in minutes played again?
LeBron
James.
Because
you believe in
don't
that?
you want to
In
see
his
greatness?
15th year?
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Aren't you upset at Michael Jordan that he took that year and a half off? That he denied us a year?
He didn't take it. He was forced to take it.
Aren't you upset that you were denied a year and a half of seeing the greatest basketball player play?
Upset.
So LeBron says, when I walk away from the game, I ain't gonna cheat you. You're gonna get 20 years of me playing every night, giving it to folks like I did when I walked into the NBA.
What LeBron is saying is, I'm 3-5 in NBA Finals. I'll never catch 6-0. So I'll catch him with this. I'll just keep piling up the numbers in my 15th year. So he's going to play when it's 93-70, and he would have played almost to the end of this game.
Would not.
He would have had a triple-double.
He was not going to play in the fourth quarter.
He was.
No, he was not.
He plays every fourth quarter.
No, he doesn't.
He does, up or down. He just plays.
You remember the other night?
He leads the league.
He played 31 minutes the other night.
Please.
Oh, you remember against the team that blew the doors off you guys?
You know
Detroit?
what? You better be careful. You keep campaigning. We're going to San Antonio next year. Better be careful, because you'll play like 26 minutes again.
First of all.
Right? Am I right?
Of all, we about to trade. We going to get Boogie Cousins, and we not going anywhere. Or we going to get DeAndre Jordan.
Oh, really?
Hey, Stack, we get DeAndre a Boogie.
It's over?
It's good night, Irene.
Good night, Golden State.
LeBron and Lonzo show next year.
Hey, Stack. Oh, me and Stack got this shoe game going on.
Yeah.
It's
Red
over
Octobers.
It's over now, Joey.
Got the Columbias.
It's over. Skip, I've been done dust Skip off. You see these things, Skip? I know it's November.
But I actually look a little dusty.
No, you better tell him something, Stack. Better tell him what these things are. I know it's November, but I went hunting.
You can get them clean.
You see that movie, Hunt for Red October?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you man, that was a good old movie.
Red October.
Hey, that's what I went hunting. I went in my closet, Joey.
Stack, you need to let him know he's going to hurt himself putting them up there like that.
No, I'd do the split right now if my pants weren't.
Do it.
No.
Do it.
My pants
Don't
split
talk about it. Be about it.
My pants are split all the way down the leg, Joey.
I think they already did.
At the spin class.
Hey, I look like a Chippendale dancer if I try to do a split.
No mercy. Yesterday, the Giants benched Eli Manning for Sunday's game in Oakland. Eli was given the option of starting in order to keep his 210 consecutive game streak going, then sitting out the second half, but he declined. Geno Smith will start instead, and rookie Davis Webb is also expected to see time before the season is over. An emotional Eli talked to the media yesterday.
It's hard. It's been a hard day to handle this, but hang in there and figure it out. I don't have to make sense of it. This is what it is, and like I said, you got to deal with it.
Did you see this coming at all?
No, I mean I didn't know what was gonna occur. We're 2-9. Kind of uncharted territory, so you don't know what to expect when you're in that situation.
I have a lot of confidence in Eli as a player, as a quarterback, but at this point, it's my responsibility for the organization to make sure we take a look at Geno, and at some point take a look at Davis, and give them the opportunity to show what they can do heading into next year.
We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Greg Jennings. Welcome, Greg.
Morning.
Was this the right move?
I'm kind of on the fence with this. Yesterday, absolutely, it was the right move. And I still believe it is the right move. And the reason why I believe it is the right move is because of their record, the direction they're going as an organization. If you look within their division, you got Kirk Cousins, a young guy who Washington probably will end up signing. We'll see how that goes. But then you got a young Dak Prescott down in Dallas. You got a very young Carson Wentz, who's taken the league by storm. You have to solidify the quarterback position, specifically in that division, if you want to be competitive. And the New York Football Giants have not done that. The problem I have with this is you're pulling Eli and you're inserting Geno Smith.
Yes.
If you're going to pull Eli, start fresh. Davis Webb, a young draft pick. You don't know what he can do. He has no experience. Give him the ball. Give him the start. Let him run with the reins a little bit. And then see what you have. We've seen Geno Smith. We know what he is.
Seen enough of him, too.
You know what I mean? And so that's the part that bothers me. And I'll leave it there, and then I'll keep adding my little 2 cents. But, yeah, I think it's a good move.
I definitely agree. Because if you take the name off the back of the jersey and you say, quarterback is playing terrible, team is awful. Okay, yeah, that's what happens. When players do not meet expectations, they get benched. This happens to be a Manning, two-time Super Bowl winner, quarterback, playing in New York. So you got all the perfect storms, Category 4, an earthquake and wildfire combined together, and this is what you get. This is the ripple effect that you get when you have someone of this magnitude going to the bench. Because normally, he got the job. They benched Kurt Warner, who was a two-time MVP, a Super Bowl MVP winning quarterback. They benched him for Eli because they knew Eli was the direction they were going in.
But he's the first pick.
Right. You benching Eli, as bad as he's playing, for Geno? You think so? Geno Smith is your answer now. So you're gonna move forward. They, as you mentioned, they got Walker to him in Philly. They got Dak down in Dallas. They got Cousins for right now in Washington, and you going to Geno Smith. Now, if you,
I don't think they're going to Geno Smith. I think they just wanted to let him be thrown into the fire first, but they want to get Davis Webb in there in a more comfortable situation and let Geno take the first hits, you know, because it's a wreck, it's a mess.
Yeah. I can see that, but from a fan perspective,
well, it looks like
it doesn't look good. It's not received well. And then when you look at the scenarios that they have with Eli, and by all means, this is not Eli's fault that it's terrible. He part to blame, though. Oh no, he part to blame. But this is not solely on Eli. No. He had to overcome a lot. But the reason why I agree with it is because when you are considered an elite quarterback or potential Hall of Famer, which that's in question, you have to be able to elevate everyone around you, despite injuries, despite what you have to work with. And Eli Manning has not been able to do that this year. And for several years, quite honestly.
Quick point. For the record, before the draft, I did not like Geno Smith because if you closely watched what happened, he was the Heisman frontrunner, and then they just fell completely apart, as did he in his last year at West Virginia.
Yeah, didn't he have that big win over Clemson, that 70-something win?
The one at Texas was a big win on a...
In the bowl game, though. Remember they had that big bowl win?
Yeah.
And everybody was like, oh, yeah, that's the guy.
No, but they just fell completely apart, and it was just that was a wreck at the end of the year. And I never liked him as the Jets quarterback. So I'm with you on that. But with Eli Manning, I just believe he has hit the wall. That's what my eyes and my gut tell me. I felt sorry for him yesterday because he'd started 210 straight games, and I'm not sure he saw this coming because he is a Manning. He's been royalty from Little League football up, and yet I don't see, like, if you talked about if you put Smith on the back of Eli Manning, he's made the playoffs once in his last 6 seasons. So I keep asking, is he great or is he ordinary? Because the track record screams ordinary for the most part because they had 2 blips in his whole career. That's it. That's why he's so perplexing to me. They had 2 blips where he's now 8-4 in the postseason because he went 4-0 and 4-0, and then 4 other times he made the playoffs and he was one and done. So when Tom Brady was at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel, he went 4-0 and 4-0 and beat Tom Brady twice, and that put him on the map in New York City. That made him the big apple of their eye, right? And yet the rest of the time, he's been like his career record regular season is 110 and 100. So he's 10 games over 500 as a starting quarterback. That's not very good. And he's led the league in interceptions not once or twice, but 3 times? Seriously?
17th all time.
Yeah, and the last 2 years have been just pathetically bad. QBR, 25th last year, he's 23rd right now. Is it all his fault? No, it's the offensive line's fault. It's lack of the running game fault. It's Jerry Reese's fault. Jerry Reese is, I'm pretty sure, going to be gone.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure the head coach is going to be gone. And it looks like Eli Manning is going to be gone. But it's perplexing because you can always say, well, he didn't have this and he didn't have that, and he lost Odell and he lost what was left to Brandon Marshall.
But he wasn't doing anything with Odell.
I agree.
I mean, when's the last time they scored? I mean, I'm looking at this, his last 2 games, Skip, he hadn't scored a touchdown, hadn't thrown a touchdown.
Well, they went 11-5 last year, but over the last 6 games, including the playoff game up at Lambeau, they didn't even score 20 points one time. No, not one time?
Eli play does not warrant him continue to start. And I'm glad he didn't take the charity case of continuing the streak.
He did not.
Just for the fact, okay, I'm going to go out there, but I know you're going to pull me. You're going to take me out of the game. It's basically you're starting me so I can continue the streak, although you don't believe I'm the guy that can get us to where we need to go. So why the hell am I going out there, Skip? So you believe Geno could do it? Have at it, Geno.
See, in Eli's defense, for me, another issue I have with this, even though I'm for it, we always talk about how classy of an organization the Giants are, but this isn't classy, in my opinion. When you stick with your head coach, who clearly could be the blame as well.
Yeah.
You're saying we're going to stick with him through the remainder of the season, but then you pull the one kind of pillar, the face of your team outside of an Odell Beckham, who's been there through the Super Bowls, who allowed you to get those Super Bowls, and then you just insert a Geno Smith.
But the ownership is now desperate. For the first time maybe in the history of the franchise, desperate. They need to find out if Davis Webb has a semblance of future. Because you're going to have to draft a quarterback.
Absolutely.
The mere fact that franchise think Geno Smith is better than Colin Kaepernick tells me everything I need to know.
That's a whole other issue.
That's it. I don't really need to know anything else. I mean, I've seen Geno Smith play. I don't know if anybody else. I've watched him on tape, too. I've seen him. I know what he can do.
By the way, maybe this is unfair to bring up, but they were, the Giants, the last team that had not started a black quarterback. So do they want to become the 32nd team to go ahead and start a black quarterback?
But damn, not that one.
Okay. Well,
we don't want no see. I'm like, Eli, don't give me no sympathy. If you're going to do something for the first time, Jesus, you got Colin Kaepernick, you got so many more worthy candidates that can do this, and we get Geno? I mean, I'm happy, hey, the guy gets an opportunity, but it's hard for me to believe that Geno Smith is better than Colin Kaepernick.
Well, I'm telling you, Eli Manning then will become a hot commodity on the open market going into next year. I think Jacksonville and Tom Coughlin would love to have him. Denver might take the next Manning.
We want Cousins.
You want Cousins in Denver?
First Cousins. With DT and Emmanuel Sanders.
Really?
Yeah.
The same Kirk Cousins who's 1-5 against Dallas?
Oh, don't worry about it. What's the Cowboys? I bet he'll have a better record than the Cowboys.
You think he'll be a hot commodity?
Eli will. I've seen speculation on 9 teams that would want Eli Manning.
I can see teams wanting him, but I mean, if you're trying to look towards your future.
Brian Hoyer got signed one day in the free agency for $7 million, and they cut him.
Yeah, I mean,
but look at Jacksonville with Tom Coughlin, who loves him some
Bortles.
Eli.
Absolutely.
Okay, and Bortles is going to be a free agent. So you say we got Leonard Fournette and we got the best defense in pro football, and we could
young defense.
That could potentially be a good situation.
Can you imagine if Kirk Cousins?
It's not always about the future. You know, I mean, if you look at Denver, they have the defense in place. Don't have a quarterback.
I ain't worried about the future. I'm right now.
Right now.
Put me the guy that's going to win. Because, see, when he good, I ain't going to be here. So what good does that do me, Greg? I want to win right now.
I think it's definitely about the future for the Giants because they're looking at the future of 3 other teams within their division.
No, I mean, I'm talking about what Skip is alluding to, being a commodity.
And walk it to him. And walk it to him ain't going anywhere.
Who is walking to him?
You know who it is.
I don't know.
You know. The one that served
It doesn't even make sense.
Yes, it does.
It does not.
He served
Call him once in a lifetime.
Nope. He served up 10 W's this year and got many more on the menu. Yeah. Would you like one? He gonna have you one for the last week. You know what? He's already sold up his MVP.
You know the phrase "flash in the pan"?
It ain't. He ain't it. I do.
Yeah.
We might be looking at one.
Yeah, right. We might be looking at a second one then.
No.
In Philly.
No, that's too. He too good.
No,
he too good.
No mercy. Tomorrow night, the Cowboys host the Redskins. We're joined by Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. Welcome, Stink.
Thank you. It's good to be here with you guys.
This game is a pick'em. What does that tell you?
Well, I mean, it tells me a couple of different things. Usually the home team, I believe, gets 3 points just for being at home, right? So it tells me that people don't believe in the Cowboys. I think, you know, I get a lot of people on Twitter, oh, Dak Prescott's been exposed. He can't play. He's thrown, 5 picks in the last 2 weeks.
Who needs Twitter? I got him.
Right. And you've got all those things. I look at this as a failure on a coaching level. I look at the Cowboys and I look at a couple of different things. Go back to the Atlanta game. You lose your star left tackle. And you run your offense the same as you always run your offense. At what point did you think that Mr. Green was going to learn how to block Mr. Claiborne? Was it after the 2nd sack, the 3rd sack, the 4th sack, the 5th sack, the 6th sack? At what point did you think he was going to get it? At what point were you going to change your offense? Then I just looked at the last 3 weeks. You averaged in week 10, 4.8 yards per carry. Your leading running back got 11 carries. In week 11, you averaged 5.4 yards a carry. Your running back got 17 carries. And then last week, 4.6 yards a carry. Your lead running back got 9 carries. It's not the way this team is built. This team has been built on run the football, possess the football, control the time of possession, cover the warts that you have on the defensive side of the ball. Let those guys rush the passer. Let those guys rush the passer. You have to control tempo. And from a coaching staff standpoint, you have lost a starting left tackle. He was back, but you lost an all-star tackle. You lost your running back. And you went into, hey, Dak, let's throw it 35 times a game. I don't care who you are. Young quarterbacks, there are minus 4 guys in the league. There are 4 guys you can say, or 3 guys that you can say, hey, go win this game throwing it 50 times. That's Brady, that's Rodgers, that's Breeze, and maybe Roethlisberger, you could argue in that. Beyond that, there's nobody else that can do that. And you're asking a second-year quarterback to do it. That's an organizational failure, and that's what this is telling you.
But I got to jump in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
They, without Sean Lee, have 11 warts on defense because in the second halves of the 5 games that Sean Lee has not been able to play with a torn hamstring, and he's still out for this game, the score has been opponents 114, Dallas 22 in the second halves. It is a defensive disaster. Phillip Rivers threw for 434 yards on 27 of 33, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. In the second half, Phillip Rivers converted 6 of 7 third downs. The first 3 times he had the ball in the second half, he went boom, boom, boom. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. Nope, Tom Brady couldn't keep up with that because it's too much to overcome. So to me, I'm completely the opposite of you. I wanted them to throw it early in that game because without Sean Lee, there's no hope on defense. They can't stop anybody, and it was just a matter of time. It should have been over by halftime, but they lost their kicker in the first half. So to me, it's a joke on defense. I can't lay it, the complete blame. Dak has not played very well, but it's just desperation in the second half because he has to throw it. They can't keep running the ball in the second half because they're getting annihilated on the scoreboard. I don't know, you just keep handing it off in the second half, try to keep the score down, because if you want to win.
Joe, what was that question again?
Are you surprised it's a pick 'em?
Nope. Because what Vegas is telling me, we love First Cousins and we hate the Cowboys.
Oh, really?
Because since you've gotten rid of...
Why wouldn't Kirk Cousins be a 6-point favorite if he's that good?
On the road. They're on the road. And
against this defense? Really?
And they're in their building, the Cowboys. They're going to give them a little gratitude, Skip.
A little?
But
off what?
Here's the thing, and Skip makes the Dallas Cowboys issues about Sean Lee. But Sean Lee isn't the reason they're not scoring 10 points a game. They've had 31 possessions since Ezekiel Elliott has been out. They're averaging 7.5 a game. So can you tell me in those 10 possessions that Dak is averaging per game, what is he doing with those possessions? Where does Sean Lee come in at? Is he a running back? Is he a wide receiver? What's going on here, Skip?
Okay, help me out. Do you like Des Bryant anymore? Do you recognize him? Well, and Dak is going to throw it to whom? Terrence Williams, or T-Won't, as I call him now. I don't know who does he throw it to Jason Witten, who you say you could outrun right now? Cole Beasley gets triple covered every play. They just say you can't have him anymore. Okay, so who you throwing it to? Help me out.
The Cowboys have been outscored. I think I'm going to give you a stat. Okay. The Cowboys have been outscored by 66 points over the last 3 second halves. That's the second worst since the merger. The merger happened before I was born, and I'm almost 50.
So, Vegas is saying to me, Kirk Cousins, when you play Dallas, you're not very good. You're 1-5 against the Dallas Cowboys, and your one win came against Kellen Moore.
Okay, with that
you kidding me?
With that being said, why aren't the Cowboys favored by more then? They're at home and they can't. And Kirk Cousins can't beat them.
No, given this, it should be shooting baby fish in a barrel for Kirk Cousins. It should be pitch and catch.
No, Skip.
Well, why wouldn't it be? How can it just be a pick 'em? I'm impressed. They're giving Dallas a lot of credit here.
1-5 against the Cowboys. The Cowboys are playing at home, and Vegas says you pick the game.
So what happened on Thanksgiving last year? Kirk Cousins threw for 449, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, but he went 2 for 5 in the red zone. What do I always tell you about Kirk Cousins? He completes lots of passes, but he never completes the pass at the moment to win the game. Okay, show me where.
What happened this Thanksgiving?
Show me.
Phillip Rivers, 434, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks.
That's what happened.
What did Dak do? You stop giving me everybody else's stats. Talk about your quarterback.
They got blown out in the second half.
What you mean? They got blown out in the second half last week.
He didn't have the ball. It was 19 minutes of possession for Phillip Rivers to 11 for Dak. What do you want him to do? Can he go steal the ball?
How much time you need to score in the NFL?
Well, you don't need much.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to throw it to who? When you have to throw it, are you going to throw it to Des Bryant? Is he going to get open?
Again, I look at them like the way you are built. And you've got to start this from the very beginning. You've got to possess the ball. An average game has about 13 possessions. You got to keep Phillip Rivers down to 9 to 10 possessions. And you got to do that by running the ball, possessing the ball, keeping your defense fresh. That's how they're built. Now, I mean, you know, we like to nickname games, right? We always like to say, hey, this game is, you know what? Come for the football game, stay for the artwork. That's what you do in Dallas right now. Cowboy Stadium.
Last year,
you go travel around, look at all the artwork.
3,500 TVs.
Yeah.
I'll be walking the stadium. Look at all these TVs.
Maybe they got direct TV playing. You can watch another game.
They dance. The Miller Lite girls dancing up in the corner.
Yeah. Okay. So if Phillip Rivers just threw for 434 in that palace of Jerry's. What do you think Kirk Cousins should throw for? 450?
He get 3-something. He get 3.
3-something? Yeah. Well, he had 449 and lost.
Skip. This is why you're losing. Last year, you were second in time of possession. This year, you're 19th. So what that tells me is that your offense isn't possessing the ball and is putting that poor defensive unit on the field. Because I don't care how great your defense is.
Teams are just driving and driving and driving on the no Sean Lee defense.
Yeah, but when you go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, ask the Broncos how that worked. Oh, ask the Rams when your defense, as good as the Rams are. Ask Seattle when you go 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. At some point in time, you got to possess the ball and give your defense a break, especially if that's not where you're
Not only is the season a game of attrition, a game, inside of a game, it's about attrition. And if you allow your defense to be out there for 65, 70 plays, because let me tell you something, it takes a lot more effort to play defense than it does. You know what happens when Sharpe catches the ball? You know what? And I cut a guy, I lay on my big fat stomach, and then I stand up and I go, huddle, right here, huddle. I don't chase it down. I don't worry. It takes a lot more effort to play defense. And you play 65-plus plays a game, guess what? You're going to get throttled. I don't care how good your defense is.
So here comes Kirk Cousins. You think he's like a top 5 quarterback,
I ain't say
right?
top
yes,
5.
you did.
But
and he's still got, I know he lost Chris Thompson, but he's got Jameson Crowder, and he's got Josh Doctson, and he's got Vernon Davis, and he's got Ryan Grant. He's got lots of receivers. He's got people everywhere.
Oh, but hold on. He lose Pryor. Jordan Reed is one game. I mean, Jordan Reed's phenomenal, but I can't count on him, Skip. He lost his 2 top receivers from last year. He went to Seattle without 4 starting offensive linemen.
Did you see what Jameson Crowder did last? He caught 7 for 141. You don't think he's just going to have a field day against Dallas's defense? Who's going to cover him?
Skip.
See, this should be a 6-point game. Washington be a 6-point favorite. Come on.
But nobody, they don't trust Washington either.
Well,
as much as they don't trust,
I don't think they trust the quarterback.
They don't trust Washington. They just don't trust Dallas more.
That's all they say, Skip.
We don't trust either team, but we especially don't trust Dallas.
I mean, how you feel, Skip? You got the third best quarterback in your division.
I already conceded to you. It's meant to be. It's Philly's year. The injury gods and the suspension gods said, "Let there be Eagles."
I mean, I don't know. I mean, let's see. I got Walker to and Wentz. I got First Cousins. I got Dink and Dunk.
Yeah, this is the guy who picked the Giants to win the division.
It's not like
the Giants.
The Eagles had all kinds of injuries earlier this season. And they lost their All-Pro, the best
left tackle.
He said Big V better than Jason.
They're all back.
He said Big V better than Peters.
I don't see any drop off. Do you see any drop off?
He said Big V is better than Jason.
Big V? No.
Have you seen Carson Wentz on his back lately?
I
didn't see him on his back.
He's athletic.
You know what? Yeah,
he's athletic.
And they call the game to protect their guys, not to expose their guys.
And they know what walking to him is. Yeah. Unfortunately, you hadn't figured out what Dak is yet.
Oh, okay.
But V coming back in 2 weeks.
No mercy. The undefeated Badgers finally moved into the top 4 in the college football playoff rankings last night, and Ohio State is 8th. Heading into their showdown in Indianapolis. Clemson is ranked number 1, followed by Auburn and Oklahoma. It'll be a great Saturday of college football, and we're joined now by Joel Klatt.
Here we go.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Championship weekend.
After all the games this weekend, which teams will make the playoff?
So, I mean, first of all, I don't think I can remember a championship weekend with this many impactful games. Remember, it's always been like, hey, Clemson's going to take whoever and take them behind the woodshed in the ACC, and Florida is really no match for Bama in the SEC. Every one of these champ games is a really good game, and you could somewhat, obviously, outside of the Pac-12, categorized it as a potential play-in game. Even in the Big 12 with TCU at 11, I think that there's an argument for TCU. So when you start to look at, like, who do you think is going to win these games? How is this going to all shake out? I think Clemson wins the ACC. Miami was kind of outed. Sorry, Joy, but they were outed in that loss to Pittsburgh. They're just not quite there. They're a great team next year, maybe the year after.
By the way, to your credit, you said this earlier in the year. Go ahead.
I did say that. I did say that earlier.
But they are a great story.
They are a great story.
They still got one more game. Okay, go ahead.
They've played incredible in those emotional environments. I just don't think they're good enough to beat Clemson. I think Clemson's going to win that game and go to the playoff. In the SEC, that is a virtual win and in. I think Georgia is going to beat Auburn. I know a lot of people will think I'm crazy for that pick, but there's so many emotional highs for Auburn right now. Kerryon Johnson doesn't look like he's going to be healthy enough to be effective.
I just can't see him playing, but go ahead.
I can't see him playing either.
He had both shoulders hurt.
To me, Georgia is the one that gets to go back to the drawing board and fix all those things that happened in the first game, and now they're going to come out there and play in that rematch. I favor Georgia in that one. So that leaves.
And as you say, it is in Georgia, even though it's 50-50.
Exactly. So I like Georgia. It gives us Clemson, Georgia. I think OU beats TCU. That quarterback and that offense is unbelievable. I think they're the best team in the country. Oklahoma is. I think they're going to beat TCU. I don't care all this talk about Mayfield and throwing a ball at Nick Orr and so on and so on. I mean, there's a lot of talk right now. That's the last thing you want to do against Baker Mayfield because he's going to make them pay. I think they're going to win that game, which brings us then to that fourth spot.
You already know we'll get it.
Where things get interesting. Because this committee desperately wants to give this spot to Alabama.
They go get it.
They desperately want to give this spot to Alabama. Now, all they got to do to get Alabama out of the playoff is Wisconsin win.
Yep.
Wisconsin win, and they're in. They're in the top four. They're undefeated. They beat Ohio State. They're going to go into the playoff. Now, if Ohio State wins, we get to debate Urban Saban, Ohio State, Alabama. I mean, is there a better debate right now in college football than these two programs? And in particular with Ohio State getting in with one loss as a non-champ last year. Here's the thing. They desperately want to create a spot for Alabama, but it's not there. If they do it, it would be fraudulent, kind of like including Fresno State in the top 25 so that they have 3 wins against top 25 teams.
Was it fraudulent last year when Ohio State got in?
Not quite, because remember, Ohio State had 3 wins that were better than any of Alabama's this year. They beat Oklahoma, which was the Big 12 champion. They beat Nebraska, which was a ranked team. They beat Wisconsin on the road in overtime. And they beat Michigan. Remember, Michigan was a top 3 team when they beat Michigan. Plus, their strength of schedule is in the top 10. Alabama's not even near that. In fact, Alabama's, if you want to compare them to Ohio State, it's much more the 2015 version of Ohio State with Zeke Elliott. Coming off of a national championship, that team had the 1 loss to Michigan State, but they had 5 wins against 500 teams or above, and their only win against a real quality opponent was Michigan, which had 9 wins at the time going on their 10th. That's very similar to what Alabama is this year. Okay, the committee is having to cook the books to make Alabama look better by keeping Mississippi State in the rankings, by elevating LSU past where they should elevate LSU because of that loss at home to Troy.
Didn't LSU beat Auburn, though?
They did, which, listen, I've got my own problems with Auburn at the number 2 spot, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just telling you right now, I think that the winner of the Big Ten game should go. Because, one, I believe in conference champions over non-conference champions. I said it last year. I believed in Penn State over Ohio State. Yeah. I know I'm saying a lot of things to basically tell you I don't think Alabama deserves to go to the playoff this year.
And I do. Because even if you take them at 1 loss, they lost to Auburn, and Ohio State had a debilitating, an unforgivable 31-point loss to a 7-5 Iowa.
55-24.
The committee has already told you what they thought about Wisconsin because they just finally they were the only undefeated team. And they finally made the top 4. So the committee has already told you what they thought of Wisconsin. So Ohio State beating them will do nothing for them because the committee has already spoken. So now, how does an 8th-ranked Ohio State beating a Wisconsin team that's undefeated that the committee didn't have a whole lot of faith in anyway? That's why they kept them out all this time. 2-loss teams up there, 1-loss team up there, undefeated team couldn't crack the top 4. So they have spoken. And I told you what this is called, the Alabama Invitational. Ohio State Urban Meyer will do what they do. They will beat Wisconsin, and old St. Nick get your gear ready, bro, because we go into another one.
Really?
Yeah, the Alabama Invitational is alive and well.
What did your eye test tell you as you watched the Iron Bowl last Saturday? Who was the better team?
Auburn.
Like when it was
even close.
You got solidly whipped.
Yeah. They beat Georgia, too.
And by the way, Mississippi State handled Alabama.
They did until Jalen Hurts
until the
said
last
that's
6 minutes.
Wasn't Penn State handling Ohio State?
Yeah.
Shouldn't they have won that game?
They were down 35-20 going into the fourth quarter.
I mean, come on now, you got to start
I don't think either resume is great. I think they're going to have to honor the conference champion. You said something I think is absolutely accurate. If the playoff committee puts Alabama in this playoff this year, this is a sponsor's exemption to an invitational tournament. That is
what you
not
want?
a playoff.
No.
That's
Yeah.
not what I
Hold
want.
on.
You
I don't
want
think that's what
fraudulent?
anyone
Let me ask
in
you-
college football wants.
When you watch basketball, the Maui Invitational, Chaminade's always in it. The college playoff, Alabama is always in it.
So did you just compare Alabama to Chaminade?
Did you just compare the college football playoff to the Maui Invitational?
I'm calling the college football playoff the Alabama Invitational because they always gonna be in it as long as St. Nick is down there. So
I will give you this. If you want TV ratings, you should put Bama in there.
And look at
I think Ohio State would trump Bama as far as ratings.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but
It's got mystique to it.
the Big Ten. I mean, the Big Ten East. That's with the SEC West is unforgivable. You're not losing 2 games and even getting there.
Okay, so once again, I'm with my man Joel Klatt here.
Who figured?
I got Georgia over Auburn just because I don't think Carry-On can play. I
Yeah,
just don't,
that's
they
a
say
big
it's a
part of that
game time decision. I don't know. And the kid Cam Martin, who backs him up, he came in and turned his ankle badly at the end of the game. I don't know if he's going to be able to play. And they lost Petway already. I just think it's going to take the life out of that offense because it is devastating. When they get clicking, they can run you right off the field. But I think Georgia in that Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta will get some measure of revenge here. And I'm with you on Clemson. I'm with you barely on Oklahoma. I think that game's going to go to the wire because, hey, Gary Patterson can coach, and that team has a lot of pride, and it's a really good defense. It's not going to be what was the score at halftime, 38
They
to something.
put 38 and almost 400 yards.
I just don't think it's going to be anything like that. I'm a Sooner fan, but I think they will barely survive this game, which brings us to the game you should not predict because you're about to call it. I got Wisconsin in this game, which will eliminate all of this hocus pocus about Alabama.
But guess what? What happened when TCU beats Oklahoma?
Okay,
we
well,
back in the catbird seat.
Could be. And you need help. And I don't think you're going to get the help that you need because I have watched big parts of Wisconsin. The last 3 weeks, I watched them crush Iowa. I watched them beat Michigan soundly. And I watched them go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota's not bad. And they just crushed them 31-0. This is a really good college football team.
That's right.
That's extremely well coached on both sides of the ball. It's the #2 defense in efficiency in the country. And Alex Hornibrook he's a very good college quarterback.
He's playing his best football in the last 6 quarters, which I think is a big part of this, right? And I will say this for Wisconsin. You can say all you want about the talent of some of these other teams and what they are at their best. No team in America has been as consistent week in and week out as the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be rewarded. The fact that Auburn is #2, to me, it's just prisoner of the moment. I get it. Those 13 people in that committee, they saw those 2 wins and they threw them up there. Wisconsin is the most consistent football team in America, and they've proven that time and time
And
again.
Jonathan Taylor can flat out run the rock.
Has any team ever beaten 2 #1s in the same season?
I'm sure it's happened before. I don't have it off the top of my head. That's what I'm saying. Listen, what Auburn's done is great. That's why with 2 losses, winning, they're in. I mean, as a conference champ with 2 losses,
they win.
I'm fine with that. Put them in there.
But you can't keep us out though, Skip. One of these scenarios is happening. Ohio State will beat Wisconsin or TCU will beat Oklahoma.
Do we really want a team competing for the national championship that lost their last football game?
Yeah!
'Cause I remember when that happened last, and that was 2001, when Nebraska got crushed by Colorado and still played Miami.
But they
in that
didn't.
national
They weren't
championship
supposed to be there. They were overmatched.
You know why they weren't supposed to be there? Because they lost their last game. They're not even a division winner. And I have been consistent on this. I argued that Penn State should have gone last year over Ohio State. Because I believe that we need to reward conference champions over these teams. Alabama would have the worst strength of schedule to make it into the playoff of any team so far in the playoff era. And they wouldn't even be a conference champ or a division champ.
Okay, so I thought if Ohio State does win its conference championship, isn't that a top criterion in the?
No, but
It is.
the jump for a spot.
It is. They say when your resumes are similar, that is a huge tiebreaker. That conference champion. And I will tell you this right now: if Ohio State were to beat the most consistent team in the country, Wisconsin, Ohio State's resume would look a little better than Alabama's, and they would be a conference champ. Alabama, again, if Alabama goes, it is a straight gift. It's a gift. Because their resume is way too thin.
Gifts?
I'm not going to turn down gifts. And they wouldn't turn down gifts either. But I'm just saying it would not be good for college football.
It'd be great.
Last quick question. Gut feeling. Will J.T. Barrett play or not? He couldn't finish the game, obviously, and the kid, Dwayne Haskins, was really good.
Haskins was great. Yeah. So here's my gut feeling on this, and I'm going to talk to Urban Meyer here in about 1 hour. When Urban Meyer on Mondays goes into his press conference and says a player is probable, high likelihood that he's going to play. You know, regardless of position, you go back through his history, those players generally see the field. Now, I will say this, and this is just a hunch. Like I said, I haven't talked to anybody yet. I would not put it past him to have both of those guys in the game plan, because you saw how different that game plan was with Haskins in there versus J.T. Barrett. You would get the best of both worlds. I've always said 2 quarterback systems are fine as long as the 2 guys are different. If you got the same guy going out there and trying to do the same thing,
you better go with Haskins, because this could be a Cordell Jones situation all over again. Because remember,
he can throw it, man.
Cordell Jones was the quarterback, not J.T. Barrett. And you talk about that 2001 Miami team, they just had 13 first-rounders on that team.
Oh, they were so good.
That might be the greatest college team
Well, they should have at least had to play either Colorado, who beat Nebraska, or the Oregon team, quarterbacked by Joey Harrington, that only had 1 loss and was a Pac-10 champ at the time.
Ain't Nick, sorry.
Sponsors exemption.
You want to put some due on that?
No.
Oh,
would it be anything more than a sponsors exemption?
No, we don't take handouts. We earned our way to the final.
This would not be earned. This would be a handout. If Bama goes to the playoff, it is the handout of all handouts.
Then it is. It's the Bama invitation.
Yeah.
And it would be.
Check out TCU versus Oklahoma, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And be sure to check out Joel and Gus for Wisconsin, Ohio State, Saturday night on Fox. Joel, thanks for joining us.
You bet.
No mercy. Have we seen the last of Conor McGregor in any type of ring? McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather in their much-hyped boxing match about 3 months ago, but he's not been in the octagon in over a year. Dana White talked about Conor's future yesterday. Let's take a listen.
We're still in that. Conor might never fight again. Guy's got $100 million. You know, I got guys that made less than that and were lawyers and went to school their whole life and quit working. Right? When you go to school your whole life to be a lawyer and you're a good lawyer, you make a few bucks and you're done. Guy sitting home every day watching cartoons or whatever he's doing, I don't know. Fighting's the worst. Try to get up and get punched in the face every day when you got $100 million in the bank. You know, money changes everything with a lot of people. So we'll see. If Conor wants to fight again, absolutely we want Conor to come fight. But if Conor walks away and doesn't ever want to fight again, it's part of the game.
Shannon, what's going on here?
Dana makes some great points, Skip, and it does. Money does change a lot of things. And that's why one of the things that I admire most about Tom Brady. He has more money than he could ever spend, and he still has the desire to train and to go do it all over again day after day. And so that's saying something. Conor has the leverage. As Dana mentioned, he made $100 million his last fight. So Conor said, hold on, $100 million one fight. Conor's like, I'm trying to fight once a year and make $50 million. Dana, how do I do that? I'm not trying to fight 2 to 3 times a year to make $50 million. I'm trying to fight once a year to make $50 million. So that way I can have longevity. Now, it does make it harder once you get into the ivory towers to go down to the dungeon and train. Skip, people don't want to get in that hurt locker. That's what we call it. You would get in that hurt locker, and you have to be comfortable when you're in there. You got to be uncomfortable, but you got to be comfortable. Because as Dana mentioned, you're getting punched in your face, you're getting kicked, you're getting kneed. That's a lot of money, but still, you ain't trying to be kneed upside your head. And plus, you got to take some of these blows in practice. And so, and Conor's like, okay, this is what I need, Dana. You came up with that money quick when you wanted me to fight Conor. Everybody was clamoring for it. I'm the face. For the longest time, you tried to convince the UFC fan base that it was Ronda Rousey. You and I both know I've been the MMA biggest face for at least 2 years. Now I want to be compensated like I'm the biggest. So I need you to guarantee me $25 million, and I'm gonna need some of that pay-per-view money that you get. Because I'm trying to get as close to 50 as I can fighting once a year. That way I can have longevity. If I want to fight 3 more years, I make $50 million a fight. That's $150 million plus the 100 I already got. I'm sitting pretty. Now, this is what we know, Skip. Conor McGregor, he likes flashy things. Rolls Royces, minks, diamond watches and trips, and that takes money. So he coming back to fight. When? Well, obviously he's not fighting in 2017. But in 2018, he's fighting again because guess what? The UFC fan base is going to start clamoring for Conor McGregor to fight, be it Nate Diaz or somebody at that 155 weight class, and they're going to come out somehow, they're going to come up with $25 million. Because they sure came up with that money to get him in there with Floyd Mayweather. And the UFC made a lot of money off this young man's back. So Conor's like, I hold all the chips. What you going to do for me, Dana?
I don't agree with your take on this one. And as usual, I love to listen to Dana speak publicly because he is highly entertaining and highly insightful in very colorful terms. And in this case, I'm not going to be surprised if Conor McGregor never fights again, as Dana is leaning toward saying publicly, because it's the equivalent of someone who hit the lottery jackpot. Think of this. This kid went 4 years ago from welfare to $100 million in the bank. And as Dana so eloquently stated, it's hard to get up in the morning and say, I'm going to go get punched in the face today when you have $100 million in the bank. He's never had any money before. He was making just okay money in UFC, and all of a sudden, he hit the lottery with Floyd.
But Skip, he ain't spending welfare money now. He buying $1 million cars.
And by the way, his behavior has been, dare I say, erratic, sort of off the field, right? Has he not been on one long party since that night against Floyd? So I don't know what's going on in his life outside of just
He jumped into the ring. I don't know where that was with the referee. He started pushing and jumping the referee. And then I guess there's some sketchy reports that he got into a fight with some Irish gangster.
So would I lose some respect for Conor as a competitor if he never fought it? Well, sure I would.
Of course.
Because fighters fight, right?
Floyd made him quit.
Hey, and to Floyd's credit, Floyd will fight. You know, Floyd, of course, nobody can ever touch him because he's the greatest defensive fighter ever, so he doesn't really get hit in the face that much. But in this case, UFC is hard. And remember Dana, after the first Nate Diaz fight, told Conor, said, you're going to take years off your life if you fight him too quickly. You need to recover. And what did Conor say? Nope, I want him now. He turned right around and fought him again and beat him.
UFC is almost like street fighting with
rules.
It's close. Because, you know, if you go fight in the bar, you fight in the street, there are no rules. This is a cage match that has rules, but you're almost bare knuckles in anything. Obviously, you can't kick somebody in the private or eye gouge them or things like that.
I got it. But
this is
to your point. You have to be comfortably uncomfortable or uncomfortably comfortable with this, and it's hard, man, because you are going to bleed and you're going to take concussion shots.
Skip, everybody can't get into that hurt locker. That place that's very uncomfortable because in this sport there is no tag. I don't have a partner. I can't tag. This is not no tag team. This is not WWE. It's you against him. And then for a title, you got 5-5-minute rounds. It's mano a mano, Skip.
Like with Ronda at the end, I think she just lost heart for it. I don't think she wanted to do it anymore, and I don't blame her.
You heard Miesha Tate say she lost it in the middle of the fight. I'm done.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's when you don't, Skip. At least let me be trained like, man, I wake up one morning, I ain't got it no more. I don't want to be in round 2. Somebody punching me or kicking me, and I'm like, man, I really don't want to do this.
Well, nobody wants to see McGregor go out that way, but he'll be back. He can't have his last fight against Mayweather.
Can Dana White send me my alcohol, Skip? He lost the bet. He won't. He won't return none of the calls.
Dana,
that's not like
Shannon really wants the alcohol that you owe him,
Floyd Mayweather,
so he can put it in his house and never drink it.
I paid my bet out of my pocket, and it was a lot of bet.
He wanted that. He wanted that.
I sent him $1,000.
No mercy. Thanks for listening to the Undisputed Podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. We're back at the same time tomorrow morning, 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then.
Fox Sports, one of one.